Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV, and I want to take this opportunity to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas. I'm sure you've had an awesome time wherever you are around this globe of ours. For all of us here in Australia, we're sweltering through probably one of the hottest Christmases we've had here on the Gold Coast anyway since 16 years ago. So we had a very hot balmy, sort of stormy afternoon on Christmas afternoon here, and it's heading that way again here to this afternoon. I know it's tonight in a lot of locations around the world. So bear with me that, you know, it's very hot, very steamy here. As I was saying, well over 100 in the old degrees of Fahrenheit and about 98% humidity. So hopefully we'll get the show done before the afternoon storm hits. I want to open the show with remembering those that we've lost. And, you know, we've had so many tragedies through 2017, too many to mention, and each week we seem to be sort of asking everybody to join hands and say a prayer for different people around the world. Well, this week, unfortunately, it's Australia's turn. We had a couple of incidences in Melbourne and one just prior to Christmas where somebody that was emotionally unwell decided to drive through a crowd of people at the main train station in Flinders Street in Melbourne and killed 18 people, and there's another 2 or 3 that are hanging on by a thread of their lives. So, you know, we can only ask if everybody can say a little prayer and remember those people that lost somebody in that tragedy, or other people that may have lost someone through many various reasons over this holiday period. It's always a very difficult time of the year when you've lost somebody, or if you've just lost somebody, or even if you lost somebody 30 years ago. It's a time when our hearts and our thoughts go out to those that are no longer with us. And it's been a tumultuous year in 2017. It's been a year of change and a lot of fear around the world. And if that's one of the things that I think that a lot of people have inboxed me and messaged me and spoken to me about, is that they're frightened, that they just don't know where the world's going. And it doesn't matter in which part of this amazing globe that you live in. There seems to have been fear and uncertainty right across the globe. Now, look, I can't wave a magic wand and say we can take the fear away. But what I can say is if we all remain positive and if we all try and do one small positive gesture each and every day, that I believe that will in some way make the world a better place. If nothing else, it makes us feel good and it gives us the positivity and the faith and whatever your belief is to get up and get out of bed and do it all again tomorrow. And I think that's a really important thing. So it's interesting this week that the card of the week is one that's not exactly what we'd call the most positive of cards, but I think it's actually very apt. So I'm featuring the Simply Tarot card of the week, and it's the Page of Swords. Now, the pages in my interpretation are females, usually young females up to the age of 25. Swords usually represent to me medium-coloured people with brown hair, brown eyes, and the Caucasian skin. So it's a young woman up to 25. Or the secondary meaning, which comes in 2 parts. One part can be spying or deception. So we may feel that we have been, you know, checking out people's things in their telephones or not sure that they're telling us the truth. So we're sort of having a little bit of a look and sort of spying and seeing whether somebody is deceiving us and whether somebody is really causing us any great drama in our lives. But the secondary part of this is reflecting back over your shoulder. Now, when I ask you to reflect back over your shoulder, what I'm asking you to do is take a trip down memory lane, is to look back into your past. Is there something there that you need to look at, you need to fix, you need to let go of, you need to acknowledge? Maybe you just need to let go of some sort of angry argument you had with a family member or a close family friend, and this is the perfect time to do that, is to sort of reach out to somebody between this Christmas and New Year period and say, hey, let's bury the hatchet. Let's, you know, extend the olive branch. Let's try and start the new year off in a more positive way, in a way where we're in a world filled with love and hope and faith. And that's why I believe this card is very, very apt this week. And it was interesting as we started to prepare for the show tonight, I sat there in my office and I was thinking to myself, now what candle will I choose out of the 27 that are in the range? And I'm sitting there thinking, and then I thought, oh, you silly duffer, Amanda. Everything's just gone into Capricorn, so why would we not feature the Earth candle, which is the candle for Capricorn, that's the very apt candle to feature. So excuse me if I'm a little bit slow as we head towards the end of the year after fighting off that bacterial virus type thing I had. So this is the earth candle. This is the candle that you would burn if you are a Capricorn, a Taurus or a Virgo. And what this does is it enhances all those earthy qualities. It gives you more stability, it gives you more grounding, it gives you clearer thoughts, it gives you more positive energy, it helps clarify your thoughts, and it also helps you set your intentions and draw towards you the things that are important in your life. So that's our candle of the week. Our Eco Soy candle of the week is the earth sign candle. So that leads me on to, usually at this stage of the show, we talk about a new 4-part series that we're going to be working on. And as I promised last week, I was going to talk to you about the change of the guard. Now, the change of the guard in the last week, particularly more around the 24th, 25th, 26th of this month, has been seeing a number of planets depart the Sagittarian energy, and I'm a little bit sad for that because I'm a Saggy and I like them staying with me, moving into Capricorn. Now, it's, every month we have the sun changing signs, so that's not so uncommon. And every 2.5 days we have the moon changing signs. But when we get a slower moving planet, or what's known as an outer planet, or one that's not supposed to be quite so personal as Saturn is, changing from one sign to another, it's a big deal. And it's an even bigger deal when a planet is said to go back into the sign that it rules. So in this case, Saturn has just moved out of Sagittarius, and he's been there for approximately 2.5 years. And for a lot of Sagittarians, they'll say, hallelujah, glad to see the back of you, I'll do the happy dance now. For me, I'm a little bit sad because I work well with Saturn. I have a very strong Saturn in my chart, so Saturn and I have learned to become good friends over the years. But in another way, I see it as a major turning point for the world on a much more global sort of scale. And it doesn't matter which country that you live in. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Saturn has just gone back into Capricorn, where he will transit or move through the sign over the next 2.5 years. Now, people sort of always say to me, oh dear, what does that mean for me personally? Well, let's look at it on a very universal level first before we start to look at it more on a personal level. So on a universal level, to me, I think this is where we're going to start to see maybe the world will sit up and take a little bit of notice of the things that aren't working. Saturn comes back in. Saturn's the taskmaster. Saturn's the planet that says, okay, I'm here and we're going to get serious about things. We're going to get our homework done. We're going to do the things that need to be done. We're going to bite the bullet. We're going to swallow that nasty medicine so that we can get better. All these type of things are related to Saturn. And I heard a fellow astrologer describe it as the planet that says, sit your ass down there on the chair. And that really brought a smile to my face. And I thought, isn't that a lovely way to describe Saturn? And it really did bring a smile to my face. I probably wouldn't quite describe him quite that way, but we all have our own unique way of working with an energy or describing a planet. So to me, Saturn is the planet of stickability. And I know that's probably not a word in the dictionary, but it's a word I use quite often, because I feel Saturn gives us the ability to stick and see a project through to the end, no matter what. It gives us that determination, that ability to not give up, to sort of say, I'll push beyond what feels comfortable to me, what feels past my comfort zone. Now, when you look at Saturn going back into Capricorn, Capricorn represents big business, governments, anything official, anything that we need to straighten out that's on a global sort of sense. I always believe in my 30-odd years of working with astrology and living and eating and sleeping and breathing it every single day, that when an energy changes from one sign to another, it's quite often seemingly at its strongest. And that's because it's gone out of one energy and it's crossed over like the state line into another energy. And we're sort of, it's like, all of a sudden we've got this jolt. We've got a change of energy. We feel it. It's not necessarily, is it any more powerful? It's just our awareness makes it feel that way. So what I'm hoping for out of Saturn going back into Capricorn, and he hasn't been there for 28 years, and it will be a Saturn return for Saturn, not necessarily in your own personal chart, but for Saturn, the planet is going back into his own home turf for the first time in 28 years. It should bring about, I believe, much more stability. And yes, sometimes things do seem to need to look as if they've gone backwards before we've gone forwards. And I know that just about every country in the world is saying to me at the moment, politically, I don't know where things are heading. I'm frightened. I'm unsettled. I'm uncertain about my job. What does the future hold? What about my children? What about my grandchildren? Look, I can appreciate all those very human fears and phobias that we all have. We are all human. But at the same time, I live in this positive hope that with Saturn returning back to Capricorn, that maybe, just maybe, we're going to get some answers. We may not like the answers. We might fight them. We might think they're wrong. But maybe we just have to go with the flow. Maybe we have to trust in the universe, and knowing that the universe knows what's better for our highest good as a globe, not just as an individual. In about 18 months' time from now, Saturn will join Pluto, and that's when I think we're going to see some really big major events changing. But as we go through the shows during 2018, I'll have more updates on some of the other major transformations that are going to take place during the course of 2018. But this week it's Saturn's turn. Saturn is actually holding hands or conjunct Venus, which is the planet of love and affection. Venus is actually holding hands or conjunct the Sun, which is where Saturn's just gone into. So it's an interesting combination when you look at Saturn, Venus, and then the Sun, all joining hands together. It's like all skipping down the laneway, all joining hands, all being happy. So Saturn is the first planet. So he's saying, okay, we can be a tiny little bit somber here. I appreciate that you want to bring love and you want to make it all happy, joy, joy, and make it pretty and make everybody have a smile on their face. And it is a time for optimism, and it is a time for new beginnings and new opportunities, particularly as we head towards the new year. But Saturn's sort of saying, okay, let's just err on the side of caution. Let's put our thinking cap on here. What can we all do? Is there some suggestion or some idea that we can put forward to maybe somebody in power, or write a letter to the editor, or join in a chat show, or join in some social media or something like that? Let's get some conversations happening. Let's see what's important to people, and let's see what we can collectively do as a universe to bring about the changes and get the message across to the people in power that, hey, we're not happy with this. So maybe that's what Saturn's message is for each and every one of us. For those darling little Capricorns that are shuddering in their boots and thinking, oh dear, what does Capricorn coming home mean to me? It just means that, there may be some changes and some medicine that you have to swallow that you're not very happy about. I always suggest to people, as Saturn's entering your sign, make sure you batten down the hatches, check your finances. Sometimes it can spell not as much money as we'd like to have in the coffers, and it's a time of change and reorganising our personal finances, looking at our jobs and our savings plans and things like that. That would also be very relevant for people in the opposite sign of Cancer, where it may be opposing some of the things that you've been doing in the last few years and saying, hey, are you really happy with this? The other two signs that would be also benefiting from Saturn being in Capricorn would be Taurus and Virgo, the other two earth signs. So they're going to be finding that some of their plans, their long-range plans, are going to start to come to fruition. Things that they've worked on very diligently over a period of time might just get a little bit of a hurry up. But then we shouldn't really forget either the other three cardinal points of the compass, which is Aries, Cancer again, and Libra. They will also be slightly affected by Saturn in Capricorn as well, because Saturn's going to turn around and give them a little bit of a jolt and say, hey, what are you guys up to? Are you really honouring yourself? Are you doing something constructive about the things that you're whinging and moaning about that you don't like? Well, now's your opportunity to get up off the couch and do something about it. So I believe it is a very, very positive time that we have in our lives at the moment. So embrace Saturn. Don't argue with him. Embrace him. Go along for the ride. Sort of, if something's not easy, then try it again another way. Try looking at it from another angle. Maybe there's a better way, an easier way, a way that's more sustainable over the long run. So next week we'll be starting our final part of our 4-part series is in the planets, where we're moving into Pluto. So Pluto we'll be looking at next week in Aries, Taurus and Gemini. So we're about to take our first caller, which is Rhonda in Columbia, Ohio. Are you there, Rhonda?
Yes. Hi.
How can I help you? Do you have a question I can answer for you, Rhonda?
I was just wondering if you could tell me anything revolving the relationship that in my life that just ended.
Okay.
I was really close with this person, and we've
Yes, I know.
kind
You were
of
really quite
split
shocked,
up.
weren't you? It came to an end. I felt it came to an end abruptly.
What was that?
I felt the relationship came to an end very quickly, very abruptly. I didn't feel there was a great lot of warning there that it was coming to an end.
There was no warning.
No, the reason I knew that, Rhonda, was because I was shown 3 question marks. It was like, well, where did this come from? Like, you know, like it literally came out of nowhere. Look, first thing I want to say is I'm sorry that it's come to an end. I don't know that it's completely at an end. I'm going to err on the side of caution here, Rhonda, because I still feel with these 3 question marks that I'm seeing that aren't leaving my mind's eye, that there's still going to be an opportunity for us to get some answers here, to get some resolution, I wouldn't use the word closure because that's not the word that's springing to mind. I'm talking about answers, some sort of resolution, and maybe some understanding out of why this happened and why it came out of nowhere. The other person, for some reason, hit the panic button. Now, I don't understand why they hit the panic button because there was no reason to hit the panic button. It wasn't as if this was a brand new relationship and all of a sudden they felt like they were out of their depth and hit the panic button and ran. It was just sort of like, here 1 minute, gone the next.
Yeah.
There is somebody from their past that has come back into the equation, but I'm not going to say to you that was the reason. I'm going to say to you that may have been a trigger, but I don't think it was the whole reason. I don't think we're going to know just yet what the complete details are around this. Now, I don't mean to sound vague when I say this, but I'm not getting any great resolution or any answers that you're going to be able to sort of sit down and feel comfortable with and say, well, I don't understand, but I suppose I can look at it, till about March. So it's like you're going to be hanging in limbo till probably about then. I'm saying March because they were showing me a giant 3, and I tried to say to them, okay, the 3rd of next month, and I got a definite no. So I don't think it's, 3 weeks away. I think it's more likely to be March. But I do think the other person will come back to you, Rhonda, and say to you, I owe you an explanation. And they're leaving it until they think you will have calmed down enough that they'll be able to sort of try and explain or try and share with you the reasons why this happened. And I'm not saying you don't have a right to be upset or to be very angry and to be hurt and devastated and everything else. I believe you do. But what I'm saying, this other person, for whatever reason, is feeling exactly the same amount of emotion as you're going through. So that doesn't make logical sense when they were the ones that called it to an end. There has to be something more here that they're not sharing with us.
Okay.
So all I'm going to ask you to do is, look, you've got to grieve. You've got to go through the motions of being human. I'm not asking you to deny that. But what I'm asking you to do is when this person does make contact with you, if you can find it within your heart to sort of, guard your emotions, yes, but be civil and let them have the floor and let them tell you what they need to get off their chest, then I think you've got a right to sort of come back and say, hey, but, you shouldn't have done this, or you should have come to me, or you should have whatever. But at least give them the opportunity to spit it out. I think you're going to be surprised. I certainly don't believe it's another relationship. It's certainly not that. I do think there's a health issue or something health-related mixed up in the middle of all this. But I don't know that they were unwell, though, whether it's someone else in the family and it was more than they could deal with, I'm not sure. Right, okay. Because that's the only bit of information that's really been shared with me. It was sort of like they didn't know what to do with themselves and they just couldn't deal with it. Not that I'm saying that's I'm not excusing them. I don't want to sound like I'm, blowing you off, Rhonda, because I'm not. I'm just trying to help you understand that sometimes
you are very much.
Good. Sometimes we react in ways that other people might see as not being normal. There's not always, two different ways you can look at the reasons why somebody's behaved in a certain way. But look, I still believe that there's a very extremely strong soul connection there between you and this other person. And I do believe that you will be able to find your way through this together and establish a different, more solid type of relationship, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
So I wouldn't give up just yet. But as I said, you've got to honour, you know, the earthly stuff. You've got to honour your emotions and your grief and your anger and jumping up and down or swearing at them or wanting to throw darts at their picture or whatever it is that gets you through the day. You've got to honour that. People quite often try and suppress that and think, oh, I shouldn't do that because I still love them. But we've sometimes got to get these stages of grief, as I term it as, out of our system so that in a situation that's got extenuating circumstances like this, that when they do come back towards you, well, a lot of that immediate emotion's been blown off the top of your head. Do you know what I mean? We're sort of more inclined to sort of sit back and at least give them the floor to try and explain their way out of it.
Yes.
But I know this other person, what they did out of love, and I want you to hang on to that. They did what they did out of love, not to hurt you.
Okay.
I hope that's helped you in some sort of way, Rhonda.
I appreciate that.
Okay, sweetie.
You.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, darling.
Happy New Year.
Okay, bye-bye. Now we're going to go to Doreen in New Milford in Connecticut. Are you there, Doreen? Hello, Doreen. Are you there, Doreen? Oh, it looks like we've lost Doreen in New Milford, Connecticut for the moment. Oh, let's hope we can get Doreen back on the line before too long. So it's going to be an interesting 2018 as we head into 2018, particularly astrologically. I think we're going to have a very action-packed year, and I'm personally looking forward to it. I'm one of these suckers for each year I always believe is going to be better than the one before, and I get great excitement out of it and sort of looking towards everything that's going to be new and fresh. And I think a lot of people do. So I don't know that this year we need to be looking at New Year's resolutions. Let's look at New Year intentions. So maybe between now and next week, you can sort of start writing a list of what you intend or what your intentions would be that you would like to bring into your life in 2018. And I think that could be sort of maybe in a two-tier system, what we think we can achieve reasonably quickly and what we might put on the list for a work in progress. And I feel if we do that, I think then we've got something to start the new year on in a positive sort of way without it actually looking like, oh, here we go again, we're going to drag out those resolutions. It's a bit like dragging out the same Christmas decorations year in and year out, and we blow the dust off them and we hang them on the tree and hope for the best, that they'll look better than they did last year, and we keep reminding ourselves, yes, we better go and buy another box of decorations before next Christmas, and we forget about it until the time comes. So that's why I'd like to say it's New Year's intentions, because I work a lot with intentions. I'm a very big believer in candles and intentions and trying to live a very positive life as much as we possibly can, and being human and living in this world. And nobody has the right or the wrong answers. It's what's right for you and how you feel about it is what is actually right for you. We're going to go to Gracie in Canada. Gracie, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, Gracie. How can I help you?
This is a question for 2018, and why am I going so much heartache right now? For the last 6 years, I've lost my son.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Gracie. Look, I don't know that there's ever a time that you say that you come to terms with something like that. I think you find a way to manoeuvre it into a position that some days are better than the next, but I don't think you ever really come to terms with the loss of someone like a son or someone that's extremely close to you. I think it's, you've just got to take each day as it comes, Gracie. There's no magic pill for that. There's no magic formula. I can say to you, look, I lost my husband over 30 years ago and I still have bad days. So, it's a varying degree of how today is. But as far as 2018 is concerned, Gracie, what they're showing me is that I think that there will be some slithers of golden light coming in for you next year, where I think that there's going to be some sparkle coming back into your life. You seem to sort of feel as if you've done, I want to go back further than 6 years. I want to go back to sort of 8, 9 years. It's like you've been doing this all by yourself, or literally most by yourself. Like nobody's really been there to help you, have they?
Yes, I have a husband. He's not very well right now.
Yeah, but it's still like you've been the one that's carried most of the burden, Gracie. You've been the one that's had to have been super strong.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why I want to say to you, 2018 to me is about like these slithers of golden positive energy and light coming towards you where I don't have to carry everything all by myself. It's like I've got someone else to share the load with. And there's going to be some very positive and happy times, particularly after April. It's sort of like everything, the sun starts to shine again and you start to feel a lot more positive and excited about the future ahead of you. I also sort of feel that if your son hasn't already started to come through to you in your dreams, there's going to be an even bigger presence coming from him, which is going to sort of settle you more. It's sort of like I feel like I'm turning a corner in my grief. It's sort of like I feel like I'm finding some sort of peace out of this chaotic, emotional roller coaster ride. And I feel that that's good for you too. It's sort of like nothing can ever bring him back, and I'm not saying we can, but if you can find some sort of peace inside you and a way where you can come to terms with it in your own way, then that's a really good thing, Gracie, and that's what I feel is happening. But please be assured he's with you every day, all the time. He misses you, and he wants the tears to stop, Mum. That's his message to you, is he wants to see you smile again. He wants to see your eyes sparkly. And he says, Dad's too sad too. It's time the two of you sort of found something to make us happy. Anyway, Gracie, I wish you a very, very happy New Year. We're about to wrap up the show. I'd like to wish everybody another happy Christmas, even though Christmas is over for another year. As we head towards the new year next week, I look forward to seeing you again next week, and we start our 4-part series of Pluto through the signs, and we'll have a little trip around the universe, look at the candle of the week and the Simply Tarot card of the week. So whatever you're doing in this next week, make it a happy day, put a smile on someone's face, and remember there's always somebody worse off than you are. So we're all going to join hands and send some positive love to everybody. Bye-bye.